Welcome to day 3. You're doing good. We're moving along. You probably figured out by now I'm playing a few tricks on you. I was saying I'd cover this in day 1, and I cover some of them day 2, and I said I'd cover this in day 2, and some of it's in day 3. Because if you're looking at the menu and you're wanting to learn, I'm teasing you and I'm forcing you to come on over to day 3 with me. So we're moving right along. Basically, a review of tape 2 was basically that dentistry is doing well. I mean, we're doing extremely well. It's a non-competitive industry. You want competition? Look at grocery stores. You want competition? Look at dry cleaners, gas, buy orange juice. That's competition. There's no competition in dentistry, which is why, as we talked about in dental macroeconomics, that number of hours you worked seems to be one of the major determinant variables on how much income you're going to make. There's several ways to carve up dentists. Like I said in tape 1, if we moved all the dentists who had a chair never used once, 2 days out of 3, on the aggregate, they make $70,000 a year more than the dentist who has all his chairs going once every day. Why? One has capacity. One has no capacity. If you have no capacity, you're at line queuing theory. You're not allowing people to come in and pay for convenience and availability. Is there any way you can do that today? When people call their last dentist that I broke a tooth and it doesn't hurt, and the lady, I asked the lady if I could get in today, and she said, well, it's an emergency. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, is it sensitive hot and cold? No, it just broke this morning. Well, did it wake you up last night? No, it just happened this morning. Well, are you taking ibuprofen or Motrin? Well, no. Well, then you're not having an emergency, and the earliest I can get you in is Thursday, and it's Monday morning, and it's your tooth. You don't give a rat's rear about other people. In consumerism, you got one eye in the mirror. You know, in 1950, Albert Einstein said the highest form of ignorance was nationalism, which I thought was kind of interesting because I always thought it was racism. He said racism was number 2. He said only nationalism will a mom make love, deliver a baby 9 months later, raise it for 18 years, give it to the government, to have it killed on the other side of the world, and when they bring it back, they'll give her a flag and she'll feel patriotic and okay with it. He says, man, that is twisted. When people start dying for artificial lines drawn in the sand for some flag for a piece of cloth, I mean, even Napoleon said mercenaries, paid soldiers were useless. See Vietnam War for that. But he said when men will risk their life for a piece of cotton, a piece of cloth, a metal, people will die, rightfully so, defending their own land, like the Afghani rebels hiding up in the mountains that were able to keep Soviet Union out of there for a decade. Vietnam kept us out of there a decade. Our soldiers are there for fighting for $20,000 a year and wanted to come home. Those people were fighting for their own home. They wanted everyone out of there. And in dentistry, in 1950, most dentists got up in the morning and they flew the American flag at their dental office, and their kids all went to school and said the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, nationalism's dead. Today, how many of you watching out there got up this morning and said the Pledge of Allegiance when you plug in your curling iron? How many of you guys are flying the American flag at your home or your office? See, nationalism's dead. That's why free trade, boundaryless economies, immigration, travel, the World Wide Web, nationalism is dead. The American flag has been replaced with the mirror, and the new national anthem in the year 2000 beyond is everybody goes up to the new flag, the mirror, and they put their hand over their heart or their wallet or their purse, and they say, me, 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 self, 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 me, self, self, me, self, 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 me, mwah, mwah. And they call up your office and they go, hi, this is Mimi. Mimi eats 150 pounds of sugar a year. Mimi hasn't flossed in 5 years. And Mimi now decides I want to go to dentist. And guess when I want to go? Right now! And you say, well, Mimi, I know you could buy a car right now. You get into a restaurant right now. You go see a movie. We know you could finally buy a dime bag of pot on 4 intersections, get a hooker and a pizza delivered in 30 minutes. But Dr. Numbnuts has no capacity. He can't get you in for 5 days. So what do? Do they sit there? Do they stop their world and wait for you? Hell no, they get in their car. They look for out their windows. They see a Today's Dental next to a pizza at a Safeway. They go to the Yellow Pages. They go to the look up D for dentist, and they sit there and they call up, and 5 or 10 later they find someone that gets them in a day, and they're calling us up and they're saying, I broke my tooth and I'm not having an emergency. I'm not sensitive hot and cold. Didn't wake me up at night. There's no fluid leaking out of my eye, or there's nothing swollen up. I just want to fix it today. Well, we premium price that. Remember, when we look at, market segmentation, a lot of people divide it up with with demographic segmentation, like type of plan, HMO, PPO, indemnity. Which market are you in? Are you cash, indemnity, PPO, HMO? HMO, PPO, indemnity, cash is really the same as Chevy, Pontiac, Olds, Buick, Cadillac. It's basically HMO, PPO, indemnity, cash, okay? Larry Rosenthal would be the cash, Dorfman in Beverly Hills, Rosenthal in Manhattan, Hornbrook in San Diego, Dickerson in Las Vegas, MTS rules that market in practice management, continue ed. The bottom of that would be, not the bottom, just the HMO sector would be, a lot of the public tradeds are going after that. I think Coast Dental is going after that. I think Monarch Dental is going after that. I think General Dental, which just fused with American Dental Partners, now it's InterDental. I think a lot of them want that HMO, PPO market, and that's great. Let them do it. They have lots of offices, and I'm sure they'll correct the market failure, and the government will have less pressures to step in. Other demographic variables are number of visits, your household income, the price of your home, the type of car you drive, and a lot of it has to do with the customs, values, traditions of your individual family. If your mama always got up every morning and said, march in there and brush your teeth and floss, her babies grow up, brush your teeth and floss. If mama didn't buy you floss and she said, get in there and brush, you just brush. We know that the number one determinant variable on whether or not you use deodorant or mouthwash is whether your mom did, not your dad, not the advertisement you saw on the radio, not what your roommate in college did, but if your mama from birth to 6 never shaved her legs and you live in France, you're a good-looking French girl at 18 and you don't shave your legs either, you don't shave your armpits, you basically learn home care from watching your mama, okay? We know that. And the reason it's your mama is because in animal behavior, we know in any animal, go back to Discovery Channel. I don't care if it's a stupid wildebeest. They got a brain the size of a walnut. If the baby always stands next to its mother. If the baby's looking left and the mom takes 2 steps right, the baby just instinctually follows. Have you ever noticed in your waiting room that, you know, I'll be sitting there with my 4 boys, ages 3, 5, 7, and 9, and I'll get up and say, boys, Dad's going to go lecture in Australia. I got to do Sydney, Perth, Gold Coast, Auckland, and Ivory, or whatever, and I'll say, I won't be back for a week. Bye, Dad. That's it. Mom, poor mom, she gets up and goes to the bathroom. They all 4 follow her to the door and beat on the door. Mom, when are you coming out of the bathroom? It's called separation anxiety. And children are very close to their mom all the time, especially if they get in an unknown environment. Like, you ever notice, like, a stranger comes to the door, like a mailman or the UPS man, and there's a little kid at the door, he instantly hangs onto mom's leg. It's separation anxiety because last 3 million years, when you're a young kid, you separate far from your mom, the hyenas would eat you. So you learn her home care, she's got maternal instinct. She either makes an appointment for you every 6 months to get your teeth cleaned or she doesn't. If she makes an appointment for you to get your teeth cleaned every 6 months and you're a little kid, when you grow up, you just instinctually think, well, I got to get my teeth cleaned. I haven't been in for 8 months. If your mom only took you in to pull a rotten tooth, that's your culture. So those are demographic types of segmentation. But there's a need-based segmentation breakup where it starts off where it's the most focused on cost, which is what we call premium focused, where all they're worried about is the premium. Then as we move away from just cost, we get into risk adverse, we get into choice demanders. Well, I care about the premium, but I want to choose my own doctor. I want to choose if I got a back problem. I want to choose if I can go to a chiropractor or an orthopedic surgeon or an orthopedic surgeon that puts everybody on the knife, or one that does limited, or a chiropractor, or a physical therapist, or massage, or whatever the heck it is. They want choice. And as they get further away from cost, it starts getting relationship driven. Well, I want to go to Dr. Barnes because I grew up going to Dick Barnes, and all my sisters went to Dick Barnes, and gosh darn it, I want to go to Dick Barnes. And does this insurance allow me to go to my relationship driven? These are less cost, and the least cost focused are convenience. And I already told you that at 764 million appointments made, the top 2 reasons that people were changing for providers, not because they thought their last crown had open margins, not because they thought their last root canal was 3 millimeters short of the apex and they missed a 4th canal and there's still some sensitivity if they go like that. The number 1 reason they're switching providers today is availability. Numbnuts can't get me in for 2 weeks. I went in today. I'm me. Me has a day off. Me has a broken tooth. Me wants it fixed today. And you have all these male lecturers saying, well, when my wife gets her hair done, she drives 40 miles and she only lets 1 girl do her hair. That's a crock of crap. I had 5 sisters. I have 31 women working for me today. If they want their nails done today, because they're going out tonight to the big bar they all go to, I forgot what it's called out here, whatever, I went to it one time, and they want their nails done, their hair done today, they will call 40 people trying to see who will get them in to have their hair done. I just took all my staff last week on a cruise to Ensenada and Catalina. We went on a cruise out there, and my gosh, every one of them, 2 days before, I gave them each $250 spending money, and they were out buying black dresses. One was dyeing her hair yellow. They were doing all this stuff, but they weren't sitting around saying, I only buy a dress for Margaret. They're in the yellow pages flying through it. It's availability, accessibility, convenience. Keep your eye on that, because convenience, they pay convenience based on cash flow, not convenience based on price, okay? And when they're calling around and saying, my doctor can't get me in till Thursday to do this broken tooth or this crown, they don't say, oh, and by the way, he charged $550 for a crown, how much you charge? We say, sure, we'll get you in a day. I do the crown, $695, they pay, it's done, it's tooth color, they leave, and they'll never know. They'll never know what the last guy charged. And then when I say never, I'm talking about majority. Standard deviation 1, 68.5%. Okay, standard deviation 2 is 95%. Standard deviation 3 is 99.5%. The far majority of standard deviation 1 is not purchasing on price. They're purchasing on convenience. They're least cost focused. And then, of course, there's attitudinal market segmentation. And attitudinal market segmentation is, what do these people believe? For instance, you study their attitudes. Like, when you need a doctor, how do you find one? Well, I always call a friend. Or they'll say, well, I'm looking for a doctor who does herbs. Or, well, I found information about my doctor on the internet or the World Wide Web. Well, I want to stick with the relationship I've always had, and Dr. Dick Barnes is very conservative, and I want to stick with what's known. Or, oh, I just want to go to this guy because he won't hurt me. Or, I just want to know what it looks like. And my girlfriends went to Today's Dental, and they said it was all tooth colored. And yeah, it was sensitive for a while, but it's worth it because all tooth colored. So you got to focus on what your market. Anybody that says all people, you know, Henry Ford, when he came out with this Model T, he came out with the Model T about 1914, made 10 million Model Ts. Every one of them was black. Henry said, I don't care what color you want as long as it's black. Alfred Sloan takes over GM. Ford has 70% of the market. Alfred Sloan introduces to the world market segmentation. In fact, Massachusetts Institute of Technology had W. Edwards Deming as a graduate and Sloan, and they chose to name their MBA program after Sloan instead of W. Edwards Deming. And all the people know about Deming. Hardly anyone knows the founder of the guy who built General Motors to a corporation, largest corporation in the world, had 500,000 employees at its peak, and all the peasants always talk about World War II was run by MacArthur and Patton. Baloney. Who do you think made all those tanks and jeeps? General Motors. Alfred Sloan made the Army, and Henry Kaiser, a Jewish man in Chicago, made the Navy. When World War II started, it took us 2 years to build a ship. A little Jewish man named Henry Kaiser went out to California and started making them in 30 days. And if you wouldn't have had free enterprise, Henry Kaiser making the Navy, and Alfred Sloan making the Army, MacArthur and Patton would be a figment of your imagination. What would those guys done out there with their horses and cavalry? So basically, convenience is what they'll pay for. Break up these people. Sloan said, everyone doesn't want a black Model T car for $268. Some will want just that. We'll call that the Chevy. Some will pay $100 more to go from a wind-up starter to a little Delco automatic transmission deal, and they'll pay $100 more. And some people will pay even more for an Oldsmobile, and they'll have to pay even $100 more. They're going to have a roof over their car. And you know what we're going to do with the Buick? On a Model T, if you get a flat tire, you can change a tire. But if you bend the wheel, you need a new car because the wheel doesn't come off. And in our Buicks, we're going to put a wheel that comes off with 5 lug nuts. And you know what we're going to do with the Cadillac? We're going to put every damn thing known to man in this Cadillac. It's going to be big. The wheels will come off. It'll have a roof over the deal. In fact, it's even going to have a back seat with 2 more doors. And Sloan said, you're never going to shove one product down all people. There's market segments based on demographics, based on needs, based on attitudes, cultures, wants. So anybody that's telling you that everybody's going to be the same is a gosh darn centrally planned communist who's going to stick everybody in public housing, put them on a public subway, give everybody a black car, and you're going to find out that when the communist experiment ran from the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 until it finally went bankrupt in 1990, and the wall came down. Why? Was it the military coming over the wall? Or was it peasants looking for bread? So basically, breaking up your market segment means you got to focus on it. You can't tell me you're going to do a Buick and charge for a Ford Escort. Then you're not doing 300 RPM night ties, you're not taking continue ed, you're not getting the right technology, you're not doing the right education. I had a dentist call me up the other day, tell me he wanted to go all the way through MTS Monge's practice management deal where he has an aesthetic continuum, an implant continuum, an ortho continuum with Richard Litt, who I went through his program, great orthodontic instructor. Of course, I say it because he's bald, and so am I, but he wears an earring. He's got a more tolerant wife than I do. And you know what they say to me? But I can't afford it. I say, well, how much charge for a filling? $60. Well, charge $80 and you can afford it in an hour, and your patients will get better work. Because right now you're making cars without airbags, anti-lock brakes, and from what I know about dentistry, I wouldn't let you touch me, and you think you're a quality dentist. How can you be a quality dentist when you can't afford technology and continuing ed? You can't afford to go through Hornbrook's UAP cosmetic program or Dickerson's LVI program in Vegas. When you can't afford that stuff, it's because you're not pricing for the market segment you're in. You're doing PPO dentistry, but you're overcharging for a PPO, and you're undercharging for what the specialist does. You're in no man's land. Pick a segment and stick. And if you want to make more money, we said if we divide you up on capacity, an empty chair, 2 out of 3 days, never an empty chair, all the chairs used once a day, that's $70,000 difference. We know that if you just, any dentist in America charges for each fee that is done by a specialist in their 5-mile draw, they average $70,000 a year more than the dentist who doesn't. I don't care if you're in El Dorado, Kansas. If you say, what does the orthodontist charge if you're doing ortho, and he says $4,000, you charge $4,000. He says, what do the endodontists charge for a molar, and they say $600, you charge $600. You say, what does a prosthodontist charge for a denture? $900, and you charge $900. If every one of his fees is the same as the specialist within 5 miles, on average, he makes $70,000 a year more than the general dentist. He also does, in my opinion, a far lot higher quality dentistry because he can afford it. But another determinant variable on how much income you're going to make is simply the hours you work per week. I have more dentists telling me, Dr. Farran, I'm in a real financial bind and I had to get a second mortgage on my home. And I say, what happened? It's the same old doctors, dentists, and lawyers, either on their second or third divorce because they didn't realize that young, good-looking thing would last about 5 minutes and it cost you about $40,000 a month for 8 years. And they didn't realize that, you take a couple pain pills out of that drawer because you got a migraine that 5 years later you might be in charter hospital. They didn't realize, it's the same old mistakes, okay? But, or they got 2 kids in college or they're in third divorce or whatever, and they come to me and they're really economic, or they did a bad investment. I went in with 2 other, a physician and a lawyer on a condominium project and lost my ass. And it was a limited partnership, and I only invested $100,000, but the other guys went bankrupt. So remember, a limited partnership means if it works, you get limited profit. But if it fails, you're completely liable. Okay, so be wary of lawyers. Okay, whenever you see a lawyer coming, cover your wallet and run. Okay, and let me tell you, I'll say, well, how much are you short? And he goes, the IRS says, I need $40,000 in 3 months, so they're going to take my office, or yeah. I say, really? Well, and then I look at his schedule, and he doesn't work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm like, numbnuts, there are people that work 7 days a week. I mean, come on, the average dentist who works 40 hours a week or more is 40% of dentists. They average $140,000 a year income. The dentists who average about 32 hours a week is 44% of the market, and they only average $105,000 income. And the dentists who work less than 32 hours a week is 14% of the dentists. They only average 85. And I swear, every practice management lecture I hear is always saying, well, the doctors who work less hours work smarter and they make more money in the long run. That is their opinion. That is their belief. They don't have statistics. Call the 1-800-621-8099. Look at their statistical sampling survey method, shows the math, the mean, the deviation, the variance, all the data, all the samples. They present you booklets of statistics done right. And then you go to the practice management person and say, let me see your math. Oh, I just think that. Well, that's religion. That's philosophy. Religion and philosophy and cultures and customs and taboos and biases are when you make decisions based on fairy tale measurements, okay? Science uses measurements. They have a yardstick. This weighs a gram. This is an ounce. Here's my sampling. There's 161,000 dentists. I pulled 1,250 random samples out with the replacement. Here's how I build my variance, my standard deviation. Here's my math. And let me tell you, you work 32 hours or less, you average 85,000 a year. 32 hours, 105,000. 40 hours plus 140,000. And gosh darn it, if you're coming out of school, $85,000 in debt, your wife just bought a $100,000 house and is going to have 3 kids in 2 years, and you bought intraoral cameras and microabrasions, and you want to go to LVI and UAP, and you want to go through MTS Monges and learn ortho and implants and go through MISH, and you just want to do all this stuff. Come on, you're young. I mean, I think anybody under 45 should at least be able to go 6 days a week until they're debt-free. I mean, come on, go back to 1900 when you used to stand behind an oxen plow from sunup to sundown 7 days a week. And if there was drought or locust, or you weren't standing behind that oxen plow, your children would die. I mean, D-I-E. So, we still have 70% of all the babies born on the earth last year were born on a dirt floor. 1 in 10 were born on one river alone, the Hai Wengho River. And in China, the average woman sits out 30 minutes to have her baby. When she thinks the baby's coming, the other girls come to her side. They keep her on her feet because gravity's going to deliver this baby. The baby comes out. They wrap it up real tight. They throw it on her back. Because they wrap it up real tight, the baby still thinks it's in the uterus. She goes back to plugging rice because she's got to eat. And if she doesn't plug rice, they're not going to eat. And eating comes first. And it won't be till the sun goes down. She'll take it back to the hub, unravel it, nurse it, clean it up, etc. So, you can just work for a while. And what the work actually comes down to is the average dentist does $330,000 a year in collections, $208,000 that's overhead, $122,000 that's profit. It's 1,600 hours a year. It's $205 an hour overhead, which is $40 an hour overhead per chair. It's 80 hours of profit per dental office hour, $20 per profit per dental office chair. Specialist, it's $480,000 collected, $288,000 overhead, $192,000 net on 1,550 hours. That's $185 an hour overhead for the office. It's $140 overhead or $40 an hour overhead per chair. Orthodontist office makes about a specialist about $125 a profit an hour, which breaks down to $25 a chair. So the fastest way to make more money is simply get more chairs, get capacity, and work more hours. And if you say, well, I can't do 2 or 3 chairs at one time, well, if you had the patience to do 2 chairs at one time, but you can only do 1, I ask you this. Why would you only charge $80 for a filling if someone's standing behind that patient willing to pay $85? That's what I don't understand. They'll call up your office and they'll say, yeah, I'd like to get my teeth cleaned. I'm sorry, our first available opening for a cleaning is 2 weeks. Well, if any businessman in the world goes to the market and says, I sell a blue widget, and the blue widget is $60, and he sells them all out in 1 minute, and he has no inventory left for the rest of the year, everybody in free enterprise say, well, idiot, your price is too low. You'd raise your price. So one of the best ways to clean out capacity or make capacity is just raise the price. And when someone comes in and says, well, I can't believe a cleaning's $60, you got to be asking yourself, then why the hell am I booked up 2 weeks? Why am I listening to you whine? I'm booked up 2 weeks, and there's someone on line 3 trying to get in today, and I'm saying no, and they don't even know the price. And maybe if I said, yes, I can get you in today for 65, then why are you charging 60? Why are you listening to this lady whine paying 60? Which you ought to say to her anyway, well, I'm sorry we charge 60, but the reason we have to is because piglets like you haven't flossed in 10 years. And we're sitting here not because we need to be, but because you want to not floss and you need to get a cleaning. So basically, if you get, and the reason I keep coming back to these stats is because I think that, when I tell you that a dentist owns 5 cars in his career, 3 homes, retires at age 54 with $160,000, it puts things in perspective that you're in control of your own destiny. And you're in a very, very profitable industry. In 1970, the average MD was making $170,000 a year, and the average dentist was making $100,000. And by 1994, those lines crossed. Physicians came down from $170 down to $120. Dentists came up from $100 to $120. 1994, physicians came down, dentists came up, and we touched it. 1940, and now the average dentist makes more than the average physician. And it's only because of demographics. They doubled the class size of physicians in the John F. Kennedy administration and signed into law by Johnson. And they doubled the class size of physicians. They went from 7,500 to 15,000. Well, supply and demand. If you double the supply, what happens to your price if demand is held constant? It cuts in half. You double the supply of physicians, their income fell from 170 to 120. Dentists stayed the same, their income went from 100 to 120, and now it's passed it up at 122. Dentists make more money than physicians only based on one reason alone. Not who's smarter, who's not, who more important. It's supply and demand. You double the number of physicians, you cut their income in half. You kept the number of dentists the same, and they're rising above inflation. Why are lawyers doing so bad? Because from 1960, you pump out 4 more lawyers per year than you did. A 4-fold increase from 8,000 to 38,000. And guess what all law schools are doing now? They're opening up night schools, as if there's not enough scum-sucking parasites running around. Now they're all going to open up night schools. So if you have a real job during the day, but you want to become a scum-sucking parasite at night, you can go to night school and suck more blood and profit out of this economy. Run more businesses overseas. The reason I talk like this, another thing you cut down on your supply provider side of the equation, you close down all these dental schools. You close down Oral Roberts, I guess because God said so or something. Closed down Emory. Here's Atlanta, one of the queen crown jewels of America. I mean, there's Atlanta, kicking butt, and Emory. They closed down their dental school as if the thriving metropolis of Atlanta doesn't need a gosh darn dental school. He closed down Georgetown in Washington, D.C. That's good. Maybe all the senators and Congress' teeth will rot out. Closed down Farley-Dixon, WashU, Loyola, Northwestern. The only new school that's opened in the last 10 years was in Miami, Nova University, which is really going to be the crown jewel of the Caribbean and Latin American and South American. It's going to be a very Central and South American flavored dental school. It's going to do great things. You guys, this is your game to lose. And it comes back down to, I wanted two other things before I talk about building a winning team, and that is so many staff come out to me, and a lot of dentists come out to me, a lot of dentist wives come in and go, well, see, Dr. Farran, you're real lucky because you're real smart. And see, we're not smart. I get so sick of that. You know, I got two sisters that never made a B, and you know what smart is? If you look at smart on statistics, it only comes down to 4 variables. Why did one kid get 100 on the test and blow away the MCATs, the LSATs, the DATs, the SATs? Why are some kids so brilliant and some kids so dumb? The scientists have only found 4 variables. When this child was being raised, did he have both parents at home? How many hours did he spend a day reading? How many hours did he spend a day watching TV? How many hours a day did he do homework? Okay, when I was being raised with my 5 sisters, was it any fault of my own that my mom unplugged the TV Sunday at 5 and said there was no TV from Sunday at 5 till Friday after school? Okay, there was no television on a school night at my house. My mom said, you can go to bed whenever you want. You can stay up all night. I don't care, as long as every one of you kids is in bed reading at 8:30. And she bought us each a little lamp that you pull out. Remember those little lamps? They had come out and you had the little gold chain. And she'd take us to Saturday to the library. We'd buy up books. And school nights, she didn't care if you stayed up all night. But everyone was in their bed, 8:30, lights, bed light on, room light off, closet light off, in your bed, reading 8:30. No school, no TV on a school night. Reading every night you went to bed, and both parents were at home, which basically the only thing that means with that is there seems to be more dysfunctional behavior among children, especially adolescents, if there isn't a daddy bull there. It seems like people will take a lot more risk with bad behavior with mom because they think the incentive punishment is not going to be as bad, but they kind of fear dad. Dad's kind of big, he's kind of loud, and they're more likely to sit here and fear punishment if daddy bull's in the house. And it's homework. I mean, you came home from school, mom said you got an hour off, then everybody's going to do homework the 30 minutes before dinner. It's a no-brainer. You do that with your kids, and everybody says they're real smart. And they're not real smart. They got the same brain you is. And then you got a kid in another part of town. His dad's gone. His mom's holding down 2 jobs. He comes home, he watches TV 3-4 hours. He never brings home his homework. Mom comes home, she's too tired to check the homework. She's just exhausted. And then that kid gets in 12th grade, and they say, oh, well, he's real dumb. Well, he's not dumb. He wasn't as lucky. He wasn't as well coached. His kid is just well coached. My kids, every time I go to a gosh darn parent-teacher conference, they're always 2 years ahead, and they're all smart, and they're all blah, blah. Hell, they got 4 personal computers in their house. They got Cuban math days at night. I got a Spanish teacher that comes in on Saturdays. These kids, they have no idea. It's the same thing with poverty. What are the only 3 variables about poverty? A lot of people say, well, it's racism, it's minorities. Yeah, well, if you could say it's racism in the fact that it is one particular race. It's mainly white Europeans are the majority of welfare recipients, so you're right, it is race-related. But there's only 3 variables that makes people poverty. 13 out of 100 Americans have lived in poverty for the last 40 years, despite spending $6 trillion on the inner city. And it's only linked to 3 variables. And that is the number of children you had out of wedlock, getting married before age 20, and not finishing in 12th grade. If you finish the 12th grade, you wait till you're 20 to get married, you have no children out of wedlock, in the United States, it's almost a 99% chance you'll never live below the poverty line. But no matter how many food stamps, public housing, and projects we build, when you don't finish the 8th grade or you drop out before the 12th grade, you get married at 19, and you have 1 or 2 kids and no wedding ring, you just have a pattern of making low-quality decisions. You're never going to be wealthy. And your staff has to understand these attitudes. These are not cold attitudes. These are free enterprise attitudes. And you can't build a winning team with the wrong attitude. And the reason I keep talking about this stuff, which is your number 1 complaint, come back saying, we don't need to know that, Howard. Just tell me how to do the recall system. I don't need to know all that, Howard. Just tell me which filling material. You can't sit there and have a lobotomy and make the right decisions. You have to be well-versed of understanding your global village and get the right attitudes, customs, cultures, belief in your staff so that when your patients say things based on their attitudes and cultures, you'll know how to come back. You know, when a lady leans over the desk and says, your receptionist, well, you know, our family, We don't have dental insurance. And your receptionist just pulls out a sheet of paper and says, oh, dental insurance. The cheapest, shittiest dental insurance in the world is $12 a month per person. And the most expensive is $20 a month. So you're telling me, ma'am, in your Ford Taurus, airbags, anti-lock brakes, eat out Mexican food 2 nights a week, Nike tennis shoes, and you're 40 pounds overweight that you don't have $20 a month? If it's coming down to you don't have a $20 bill, you know what? You shouldn't walk onto a Chrysler minivan market and start yelling because the car is $30,000. They ask you when you walk on a car lot, how much are you willing to spend? They say, well, I can only afford $50 a month. Well, we're looking at a used car. You say, well, I got $100 a month. We're looking at a Ford Escort. You say, I got $200 a month. We're looking at a Ford Taurus. You got $300 a month. We're looking at a Lexus, a Benz. But you don't walk into a Lexus dealership and scream, I'm not paying $300 a month. I'm not paying more than $50 for a Benz. They say, ma'am, you'll get a Benz, but it's going to be about a 1941 that was in a head-on collision, it's only got 3 wheels, and it's right over here. See, when you talk artificial yardsticks like, I don't have the insurance. I don't know what insurance is. Show me insurance. Show me in your hand. Hand me insurance. It's money. It's units. Talk in real yardsticks. Talk in grams, ounces, dollars, price, transfers information, distributes income. And you sit there and say, oh, you don't have the cheapest HMO PPO, which we don't even do. That's $12 a month. And the middle class indemnity market's $20 a month. So, ma'am, if you don't have $20 a month, I really think you might be at the wrong dental place. You know what I mean? You might need to go to, maybe there's something at the public health station, or maybe, you know, we're only 100 miles from Mexico. Maybe you should drive down there and get a root canal. You know, if you're going to get one in Phoenix, Arizona, where, you know, most of our customers have like an AFFM cassette in their car. Most of them have power windows. A lot of them have airbags and anti-lock brakes. And see, the way we do it here, you know, we just do it right, and here's our very fair, reasonable price. Today's Dental, we'll see you today. Today's Dental, we'll see you today with today's technology for today's prices. It's all done today, and we're doing it $2.4 million a year. Now, building this winning team, first thing you got to do is sit there and pick off the right information. The worst thing you can do is plug your head with a bunch of bad information. That's the problem in practice management today. Most of the people feeding your head aren't dentists, they don't have a dental office, and they don't have any prototype or any evidence to point to. Okay, they're just telling you their customs, cultures, and beliefs. I got a prototype, and I learned everything. My dad told me the best advice in the world. He says, if you want to be smart, just follow the people that are smart. Just pick the billionaires. That's been my investment portfolio. If you just have your money invested in companies that the founding father billionaires at the helm, it's been kicking butt. I don't care if you're Andy Grove's Intel. I don't care if you're Bill Gates' Microsoft. I don't care if you're gosh darn whoever. But when the founding father dies, the company starts to plateau. And then most of them give it to their kids, you know, nepotism, the lucky sperm club, the thing falls apart, and get your money and run. And read all autobiographies of billionaires. You don't need to go to college to get your MBA. You don't need to study math and trig. You need to go get the books of Arm & Hammer, of Andy Grove, Only the Paranoid Survive, Bill Gates, The Road Less Traveled, or whatever. I mean, just all the books of all the billionaires and read them. And Ray Kroc, Grinding It Out, The Making of McDonald's, Thomas Watson, The Making of IBM. Read the billionaires' autobiographies. You'll be smarter than anyone in your village. And here's Ray Kroc, that pioneer service industry, McDonald's, consistent product, makes 40% of the hamburgers, so he has 40% of the capacities. Every 3 miles there's another McDonald's. And you walk in there, and everyone's in a uniform and a name tag. Then you go into a dental office, no uniform, no name tag. What are you doing? Come on, look at my staff there. I got one lady in there for central sterilization. I got another one for purple. There's Jan, my first dental assistant, still there 12 years later. That's part of a consistent product, reliable product. My patients come in, they want to see Jan, they expect to see Jan. Jan's been there for 12 years. The guy in the middle, everybody thinks that's Fabio, but that's actually me. There's my first hygienist I ever hired, Chris Hickson from Chicago. 12 years later, she's still there. When they come in for a cleaning, they want a 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, Chris Hickson on a sesame seed bun with onion and pickle. There's Cynthia up front. You know by the uniform, the name tag, you know who it is. That's how you build a winning team. Dentists think this is a winning team. They think it's all about dentistry. People, when you go get your transmission fixed, you don't know what a lifter is. You don't know what ball bearings and timing chains, motor oil is. Do you think these people really know if you're using Panavia 21, Verilink, or if you're bleaching your teeth with Rembrandt's Opalescent, or Rembrandt from Bob Ibsen, or Opalescence from Dan Fisher, or Night White from Bill Dorfman? Do you think anybody knows the difference between any of their carbamide peroxide 10% thixotropic solutions? It's not. The dentistry stuff, I got my MAGD. And I got my implant implants and all this stuff because I wanted to make a high-quality technological product for my own needs, and so this dentistry wouldn't come back to bite me. But it has nothing to do with how the consumer's reading this. The consumer notices the process. Is it consistent? 90% of franchises are still in business in 10 years, or 90% of mom and pops are out of business in 10 years, because McDonald's is basically a business rooted in systems, and you're a dentist and you're still thinking it's a product. And even when you learn how to do a higher quality product, the first thing you do is you charge more for it, which is absolutely incorrect. If you're doing a higher quality product, if it's higher quality, it should be done faster, more efficiently, thus provided cheaper. Look at Gordon Christian, the god of dentistry, who when you die will be sitting up there with all your charts. He even names his most popular course. Gives it 4 times a year at Provo. I've taken my staff through it twice, sent my associates through it several times. Faster, easier, higher quality dentistry. Gordon always noticed that the dentists who go faster are doing higher quality. Why? Because the ones that go faster know what they're doing and are aided with lots of technology and good products. Look at Corpace with Bob Ibsen's Denmac Corpace build-up. Gordon, I mean, and when they come out with that and it's set up slow, I mean, it drove him crazy. Bob Ibsen came out with Fast Set. The dentist getting Fast Set only needs it, 30, 40 seconds to set up, because that's how fast they're moving. They're doing 4-handed dentistry, 6-handed dentistry. The dentists who move faster know what they're doing. They have more technology. They have better products at their side. And since they're faster and the only thing they sell is time, they're more efficient, and they can provide higher quality dentistry for less money. That's how free enterprise works. So when we look at restaurants, McDonald's, they do $1.4 million a year. Burger King, $1 million a year. Wendy's, $900,000 a year. Taco Bell, $900,000 a year. Hardee's, $800,000 a year. KFC, $800,000. Pizza Hut, $600,000. Little Caesars, $500,000. Domino's, $480,000. Subway's, $260,000. Now the average dentist is doing $330,000 a year, which means the average dentist has more than the average Subway. The average specialist is doing $480,000 a year, which is exactly what Domino's Pizza is doing. So your average dentist is a Subway shop, and your average Domino's is a specialist. Now, there's 12,000 McDonald's, there's 4,400 Domino's, and there's 10,000 Subways. How come they're all in retail centers? You don't need directions. You don't need to ask your mom where the Subway is, the Domino's is, the McDonald's is. You don't have to make a reservation. Everybody's in uniform. Everything's consistent. That's what's going to make you have a $1 million business. 540,000 franchise units exist today in America, employing 8 million people. 758 million in sales, 40% of all retail sales. I'm telling you, people, franchising is the way to go. Not that I don't franchise my Today's Dental. I didn't buy a franchise. I just meant copy the franchises. Domino's didn't name the name of their pizza. Dr. Adam Smith, DDS, MAGD, who gives a GD pizza parlor. They named it an easy name. We name it Today's Dental. Why would I put a sign, Howard, Farran, DDS, MAGD? That's retarded. Today's Dental, logo, phone number, 893-CARE. Everybody that lives in my area has an 893 prefix. All they got to remember is CARE, and they're at Today's Dental. Now, if you want to steal the thunder from a franchise, it's only one thing. It's a consistent product. Every time you order a pizza from Pizza Hut, it tastes the same. Domino's, every time it tastes the same, and it tastes the same, uniquely different than Pizza Hut. Same with Little Caesars. And Little Caesars is a specialist, and you're a Subway sandwich. Every time you go to Subway sandwich, you get a turkey, it tastes the same. Every time you get the meatball sandwich, it tastes the same. Well, the same in your service is the same employees. Employee turnover is the #1 thing to track. If I see 2 dental offices with 5,000 charts, and a hygienist who works 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, 2,000 hours a year, if all of her patients were cleaned twice a year for an hour, a full-time 40-hour week, 50-week hygienist could only clean 1,000 people's teeth a year. And I got 2 offices in the same building, same demographics, same economy, same everything, and one office has 5,000 charts keeping 2 full-time hygienists going, and one dental office has 5,000 charts keeping 1 full-time hygienist going. And every time I do the math, this is the determinant variable. The office has got 2 hygienists going for 5,000 charts. It maybe has the average employee's been there maybe 6.5 years, and the one that's got 1 hygienist going maybe 2.5 years. Now, the average American, in America, 25% of Americans find a new job every year. So that means the average person holds their job for 4 years. So you have a 25% turnover year. So if you were going to benchmark off of America, your staff on average should be there 4 years. So if you're below 4 years, you're a little higher. If you're above 5 years, you're a little lower. But that's not really true, because when we look at economics, we break it up into 64 different industry segments. We know that agriculture and mining have the lowest turnover, and those are the ones that are highest percentage of their employees are male. Healthcare has always had the highest turnover because it's like 98% female. Females have babies. They're married to spouses. They're dual income. And so you are actually practicing in the #1 worst industry for employee turnover. You've seen it. I mean, I lost so many employees. Their husband gets transferred. You know, the woman doesn't say, well, I like my job, I'm staying here, I make the same money as you, we're staying here. I have had staff that I was paying them more than their husband, and their husband was transferred to another state, and sure enough, she packs up and goes with him. You know, or she has a baby and moves back to the town that her mama lives in or whatever. It's tough. It's the hardest thing you do in building a winning team, and the way to stop reducing staff turnover is where you're going to make all the money. That's all the valuable. #1, don't hire women who are married to some guy in the Marines whose mom and dad live 1,000 miles away from home. They lived here for a year. You're setting yourself up for turnover. I don't like to hire anybody unless they were born within 10 miles of my office. People are like pigeons. Only 2% of the world's population lives outside the country they were born in. Most people live in the city they were born in. Hardly anybody migrates away. Hire people born in your backyard. They're more likely to stay in your backyard. They got existing social networks in their backyard. The added benefit is if I hire a girl that just moved in from another state, she's probably not going to send me hardly any new patients in the next 4 years. And if I hire someone born 4 miles in my backyard, I got her grandmas, aunts, uncles, cousins, work, churches, all their existing relationships. Another thing on, management changes are like marital changes. They're painful, time-consuming, and chancy. But what I would also say is that when you're building a winning team, we know in some countries your marriages are arranged. And everybody hates an arranged marriage. There's nothing worse than an arranged marriage. And you know what? The arranged marriages are done very rational and they don't work. Why? Because human behavior is not it's not logic. Humans do a lot of stupid things. Look at smoking, drinking, loving, all that stuff. Arranged marriages, it's missing the chemistry. How do you know what it was with your wife on that date and you had that chemistry? You can't define that. You can't quantify the qualitative. But what I'm saying is when you hire a dental assistant and you're ready for your second dental assistant, why the hell are you going to pick her out? She's going to work so close with this other dental assistant for years and years and years. And you hire this dental assistant and you ask her real stupid questions like, can you pack cord? Do you have any experience? Can you know what a mirror looks like? Yada, yada, yada. And then you hire the assistant, you put her with her, and in 2 minutes, that other assistant says, I like her, I don't like her, or I'm conservative, you're liberal, I'm married, you're single. They don't have any chemistry, and neither of them really, they tolerate each other, but it's not the added enjoyment of working with someone you like. Jan was my first dental assistant. She hired everyone after her. Why does every one of my dental assistants bowl 1 or 2 nights a week and listen to country music? Because Jan drug every one of them out of the same bowling alley. Same thing with the front office. You want to build teams? Look at Detroit Pistons. Here's Detroit Pistons, and they run off Dennis Rodman. Guy gets 14 rebounds a game. They run him off. He goes to San Antonio. San Antonio runs him off. How do you run off a guy that gets 14 rebounds a game? And what do these teams say? They say, well, he had a bad attitude. He didn't go to the huddle. Well, that just means you don't know how to manage a guy with this attitude. How did the Bulls do it? The Bulls owner. Those guys don't sit there and they don't talk to these players and say, yeah, do you want to play with him or her? They go back to their team captain. They say, here's the people available, here's the money we got. And those players on the field will actually go out and say, hey, Dennis, you get 14 rebounds a game, and I'm Michael Jordan, and I like to shoot 2,800 points. I like to shoot, I don't like to rebound. You like to rebound and you can't shoot. Why don't you get the rebound and throw me the ball? And if those two have the chemistry, then they go back and say, we'd like him to be on our team and he wants to play with us. And you said, here's the money you got and here's players available and we want him. See, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you heard, it's how you hear. And in economics, remember, people make decisions based on incentives as they see the score. Jerry Reinsdorf, when he sees the score, he sees the home team had 60 points and the visitors had 50-81. What was San Antonio Spurs looking at? Well, he didn't go to the huddle. I'm sorry, I don't see huddles on the scoreboard. I don't see that you win the NBA championship because all your players went to the huddle the most time. The score's right there. Home visitors. Keep your eye on the real score, okay? If you keep your eye on the real score, properly line up incentives, people on the aggregate make very high quality decisions. Igor Anzov, one of the most brilliant writers on corporate strategy, said 2 + 2 = 5. You know, I'm here in Phoenix. When Phoenix ran off, who was that? Charles Barkley. The exact same rest of the team came back and lost 11 games in a row. See, when you bring on a star player, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 2 + 2 = 5. When you run off Charles Barkley, now 2 + 2 = 3 or 2 or 1. So people either you build a team that plays at a higher level or you destroy the team and it plays at a lower level. And team is all about players and coaching equals teamwork. And it's about getting the right players. About 36% of the dentists have 1 to 3 employees. 41% have 4 to 6 employees. 20% have 7 or more. The average dentist has 4.5 employees and the average specialist has 5.4. I wouldn't so much worry about the number of employees you have. What I'd worry about is getting the right employees. I have dentists calling me all the time saying, well, how much money do you collect a month for each employee? I've heard, for every $8,000 you'd have an employee. I just don't see that in professional sports. I think you need to look at professional sports. You have an industry that's 98% women. The NBA has an industry that's 85% African Americans. They're very unique industries based on demographics of their employees, of their players, okay? And I think by benchmarking off a totally separate industry like basketball with huge 6'5" African males will give you a lot of insight to how you deal in a healthcare industry with 98% females. And basically it's when Michael Jordan comes in and says he wants $30 million a year, Reinsdorf knows that, my gosh, 1 round of the playoffs will pay for Michael. And the second round of the playoffs will be all profit, and the championship's even more profit. So I have never believed in practice management people standing up there with no dental office, no prototype, no nothing, saying, well, I wouldn't have more than 20% of your money go for labor. Well, go to the Bulls and tell them they shouldn't pay much for labor. The Bulls will tell you, if they're worth it, they'll pay all the money in the world, because if they're really worth it, they'll win championships and they'll be profitable. And every one of my staff members would probably take a 30% pay cut if they left my office. When I find winning players, I pay them what they're worth. I pay them what they're worth. They stay. We have a winning team. I do not believe in this hogwash crap to pay low dollar for bottomless pit employees. Pay top dollar for top employees and you'll make a ton of money. If Jan quit my office, I'd probably retire tomorrow. My office manager makes more money than a lot of dentists I know. And hell, that office does $2.4 million a year. You know what I can pay her. She's worth it. I leave, I don't worry. I never think about that office. She's got a huge incentive to look very closely at the day-to-day score and make very high-quality decisions because it's basically incentives. That's why we have profit sharing. Same thing with hygienists. The only thing I would say about hygienists is if you add 25 new patients a month, well, how many months would it take to add up to 1,000? 1,000 is 40 hours a week hygiene, 50 weeks a year, 2,000 hours. They come in twice a year, so it's 1,000 patients. Divide 1,000 by however many new patients you get a month, and that's how often you should be adding a hygienist. So if you're adding 25 new patients a month and you have the same number of hygienists you had 10 years ago, well, if you throw 25 new patients on her schedule each month and you keep the same capacity hygiene, then you got to be losing 25 patients a month. So same thing with hygienists. I'll take a hygienist all day long with a warning personality. I pay incentive-based. I only pay 33% of what the hygienist produces. The hygienists that want hourly are the hygienists that come in there and they look at you and they look at themselves. And they say, buddy, I want 20 bucks an hour because I'm betting on you because I know you're a winner and I'm a loser. But see, a hygienist says, oh no, Dennis, I'm looking at you. You're a loser. I know I'll work my butt off. My patients will come back. They'll come back for their cleanings. I want paid production. If my hygienists want paid hourly, I know that there's no more asymmetrical information. You just showed your cards. When you say you want an hourly rate, you know you suck. When you want commission, you know you're a good salesperson. When you know you work hard and you will do good in anything you do, I don't care if it's selling cars, planes, or trains, you want commission if you know you're good, and you want a guaranteed salary when you know you're lazy, okay? And building this team, at first, you know, they're unconsciously incompetent. You start coaching them so they're aware of what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, so then they're consciously incompetent. And finally, they're so well coached that they're consciously competent. And then when they've been on your team for 4 or 5 years, they're unconsciously competent. So you're not going to get any high-quality, high-value players that showed up on your team 6 weeks ago. It takes years to build a championship team in the NBA, a championship team in football. And, you know, look at, all you got to do is look at, why are some franchises always in the playoffs? It's the 49ers, it's the Cowboys, it's the Dolphins, and then there's other teams, we won't mention any names because we're here in the home of the Arizona Cardinals, where the only thing consistent they've had in 25 years is no playoffs and one coach named Bill Bedwell, the owner, okay? And the determinant variable is the owner and one playoff in 30 years, and he's incompetent. And he can blame it on anything in the world, but it comes down to he's unconsciously incompetent. Some people are always winners, and some people are always losers. And if you're a loser, you know, it's all right if it's unconscious, you're not aware of it. But if you ever become consciously aware that you're a loser, then you start studying. You start studying all the billionaires' autobiographies, and eventually you'll become consciously incompetent. You'll move to consciously competent, and then someday, after 5 or 10 years, you'll be unconsciously competent. In all relationships, understanding the feelings of others is key to creating stronger relationships. What is a relationship? A relationship is when two parties mutually agree to a course of action. Okay, when I walk down the street and I see some guy and I say hi and he says hi, we don't have a relationship. We haven't agreed on anything. When I walk into McDonald's, someone says, hi, how are you doing? I look at the name tag, hi Susan, I like a Big Mac. She says, okay, give me $2. I give her $2. She gives me a Big Mac. We have the fundamentals of relationship. But if you really want to understand people, it doesn't come down to quantitative things you can measure. It's feelings, it's hormones, it's estrogen, it's testosterone, it's cultures, customs, taboos, beliefs, religions. All these things are based on artificial yardsticks that don't exist. You're never going to sit down and have the 5 or 6 major religions all agree on anything other than the fact that they have no idea what each other is doing or talking about because you know, they just build the arguments as they go. That's where science cuts through and they say, well, here's a scientific method. Here's a gram. Here's an ounce. Here's a meter. Here's a centimeter. Here's a millimeter. And when you're building team chips, it's about feelings. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. It's not what they hear. It's what they how they filtered it. So pick your, you know, all owners of basketball teams know that if they start dealing with the players, there'll be testosterone clashes with big, brazen bull males. So what do? The coaches, the owners, all get GMs because they're dealing from the money side. The players all have coaches. And all the negotiation is done between the coaches and the GMs. That's why nobody's toes and feelings are hurt. Because if you go into a gosh darn football team and you get all the male football players and all the male owners talking to each other, my God, there'll be machine guns and people getting killed. So all the negotiations done at the GM coach interface. Same thing I do in my office. I'm an alpha bull male. I know that. Okay, I have an office manager, Kathy. And all the players on my team, they all have a team captain. You know, we have a head dental assistant, head dental hygienist, head receptionist. And they sit there and, you know, if an assistant's complaining about something, she tells the head dental assistant. And Jan will sit there and go to the office manager. And the office manager, she's not going to come back and talk to me. I have my bookkeeper in my office. I'm not going to say to my general manager, no, we can't afford that. Because then they'll be, oh, well, he's cheaper, blah, blah. I have my bookkeeper. So Howard owns today's dental, and I have my bookkeeper, Lori. And the players have their team captains, their office manager, Kathy. All the negotiations takes place between the office manager and the bookkeeper, okay? That way, when we all come in, we all love each other. I take them on cruises. I pay them nice. They're in uniforms, state-of-the-art technology. But we're not going to get in an environment where feelings can take over, because when you start walking into the environment of feelings, you have nothing to go by, because there's no rules. God only knows how they think, what they think. So back to team building. Pay for what it's worth. When people always talk about owner's manuals and policies, a policy only exists absent someone reading it. There is no truth. Truth is objective reality. Life is individual perspectives, cultures, customs, religions, taboos, biases, heuristics, geographical presence, and time of existence. So if you think there's truth, if you think you're going to sit down and logically decide feelings and hormones and relationships, you've already lost the battle. The only way you're going to manage your personnel is you got to define your goals. That's a vision of where you want to go. You're the owner. Get a coach. The coach is going to lay out a strategy of the play. You first define the personnel you're going to need with job descriptions. Every dental office I walk into. Who's your team? Oh, here's Judy, Jolie, and Marianne. Marianne, what do you do? Well, I help the doctor. Well, what is this, a fluff party? Where's your job description? Are you an assistant? Are you an insurance coordinator? Are you a scheduling coordinator? Are you the office manager? Are you a hygienist? Are you a dentist? What are you? Well, I do a little of everything. That means you suck at everything, okay? I need job descriptions. And maybe you do 3 jobs because you're in a small office, but you have 3 distinct job descriptions. That's the score. And you have to have incentives about what happens if you have a good score, and that will affect your quality decision making. I mean, if your office goes from $20,000 a month to $40,000 a month, and I still get paid $10 an hour, well, I'll tell you what, you're never going to go from $20,000 a month to $40,000 a month because none of your team cares. What happens when NBA players make the playoffs? They make more money. What happens when they win the championship? They make a lot more money. A lot of their individual contracts say, oh yeah, we'll pay you $1 million a year. Unless we get to the playoffs, we'll pay you $2 million a year. And if we win the Super Bowl, we'll pay you $9 million a year. And they're like, okay, I'll do that. And define your, implement your job descriptions. Get on Microsoft Word, type them out. I want to say, here's the insurance coordinator. Here's the front office receptionist. Here's the office manager. And you're saying, well, we only do $20,000 a month and I need one person to do all 3. That's good, but she'll know all 3 jobs. And then when we get our second person, we'll know what that second person can do. I have 3 job descriptions. We're getting too busy. I don't have time for this. I'm going to interview for a job description for an insurance coordinator. She comes in. Here's what she does. Now, this was easy for me to implement because I've always known that before you invest money in a car or a big house or swimming pools or all that trash, you invest in your business first. In fact, basically, when I opened my office, day one, I'd pay $4 or $5, I forgot how much it was, several $1,000s, have Sally McKenzie come in at the end of every year. Tell me, okay, Sally, what score? I just had a year. How was it? What would you do? And Sally was the one, after I think the second time she came out, and I still didn't have job descriptions going back a decade ago, she just gave them to me. She just typed them out for me. So, you know, when someone says I had a consultant come in my office, or I'm thinking about having a consultant come in my office, but, you know, they want $15,000. I don't know if it's worth it. I'll say, let me get this right. Your business does $330,000 a year, and you wouldn't invest $15,000 into it to take it to the next level? God, IBM, those companies, they spend 5% or more on R&D. They bring in big 6 consulting firms, Mercer, Arthur Andersen, all these consulting firms. Some of these Fortune 500 companies are so big that on any given day, every major consulting company in the United States is in one part of their business working on something. Before you get a big screen TV or a boat or a cabin or a golf membership, get these consultants. Kathy Jameson, Linda Miles, whoever it is, just get them. And it starts with defining your goals. Where do we want to go? Why do we want to go there? What's the fastest way to get there? Define your personal needs with job descriptions. Answer, who will make what decisions? How will we keep score? What will be the rewards? We do profit sharing in my office. W. Edwards Deming said it a little differently. He said, number 1, his 14 points. W. Edwards Deming, who's a statistical genius from MIT, create constancy of purpose for the improvement of quality and service, always chasing quality and better service. Number 2, Adopt a new philosophy, the new philosophy. Number 3, cease dependence on mass inspection. If you're going to have an employee with someone always standing over their back, you're violating the relationship, you're violating the trust. You got 2 people doing the job of one. If you start, relationships are two-way. If you say to the guy on the assembly line, look, you're a stupid idiot, we only pay you $10 an hour, we're going to have someone standing behind you watching you all day long, the guy feels like an idiot, and so he acts like an idiot. It's like it just absolutely makes me go ballistic when I'll be at a friend's house, he's a dentist, 8 years of college, and he'll tell his kid, quit being stupid, quit being dumb. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You never tell a kid to quit being dumb. He thinks he's dumb. I tell my boys all day long, I say, boys, when you were born, what did the doctor say when he saw you? And my boys all say, he said that I had the largest brain he'd ever see. What did my teacher say when the teachers met you? That I should never miss any question in school because I got a brain big enough. You tell these kids they got big brains, they're smart, they actually end up believing it, and then they start acting like it. My boys think they have the biggest brains the doctor ever seen, and since I know the physician, she always tells them that when they come in. Every time they take them in for a physical, she says, Eric, Greg, Ryan, you have the biggest brain I've ever seen. And so my kids, by this far in life, they already think they're smart. In the practice of buying from the cheapest suppliers, cheap supplies, cheap fillings, cheap bleaching, all that stuff is cheap for a reason. It's because it's cheap. Improve constancy and forever the system of production and service. Number 6, institute training and retraining. Get addicted to CE. In fact, we talk about another income deal. Dentists tell me they want to get off HMOs and PPOs. Let me tell you this. By the time you get, if you don't have your FAGD, 14% take HMOs. By the time you get your FAGD, it's gone. So if you want to say to me, well, what's the fast way to get off HMO? I'd say get your fellowship in the Academy of General Dentistry. Because if you don't have your FAGD, 14 out of 100 take HMOs. If you have your FAGD, it's less than 1%. And then you sit there and say, well, I want to, I'm doing $30,000 a month and I want to do $60,000 a month. Really? Well, you know what I found? The number one determinant variable in dentists collecting $60,000 a month or more, you're never going to believe it. It's having an MAGD. You really think some guy has his mastership in the Academy of General Dentistry and he's doing flippers and extractions and doing one-visit dentures? I mean, gosh, these guys, LD Pinky said if you don't have the product on your shelf, you can't sell it. Time you got your MAGD, they forced you to diversify your education, to take so many hours in ortho. The only way to do that, you had to go through Richard Litt with Imtiaz Manji or Brock Rondeau. You had to go to Mission Institute to satisfy your implant deal. You had to do occlusion. I had to go all the way through Pinky. It forced me to diversify. If I didn't have that forced curriculum, I would have taken all the CE and fillings and crowns. I would have never learned implants, ortho. You got to institute leadership. Number 8, you got to drive out fear. Number 9, break down barriers between staff areas. Don't say this is the front office, this is the back office. Say you got 2 eyes. Keep one eye on the customer and one eye on cost. And don't let your staff internally divide each other. Your staff are one nucleus, and they're teamed up to serve a customer, and the customer's got one eye on cost and one eye on service. And there's best product, best service, best price. So if you take your eye off cost, you'll completely get cost out of line. You keep one eye on cost, one eye on the service, the customer, and continue to add one eye on best product. And you get your MAGD, you get all your staff staring at your gosh darn customers, and you got everybody looking at cost. You're going to be in the ballpark. Eliminate slogans and targets for the workforce. That's cheap and it's degrading, and quotas and things you can't quantify. What if there's a snowstorm? What if, just the luck of the draw, you have 25 new patients this month and all of them have perfect teeth? So eliminate numerical quotas. It cheapens the qualitative aspect of the relationship-based business. Remove barriers to pride of workmanship. Make these people feel proud of what they're doing. Institute a vigorous program of education, retraining, and last but not least, take action to accomplish the transformation. Deming was a genius. A gentleman once said that leadership was like ducks. He said that ducks, basically that leadership with ducks, that they fly in a V with the leader in front. Every now and then, the ducks behind the leader would veer off in a different direction while the leader continued flying ahead. When the leader looked around and saw that no one was following, he or she would rush to turn around and get back in the front of the V again. That's how leadership works. When your staff are going to the left and you're going to the right, then you need to run back over to the left and get in front of them. That's leadership. Going where your staff want to go. They want to go to best product. They want to go to best service. They want to go best price. They want to feel good about what they're doing. Keep your eye on the bull. Jerry Reinsdorf is the #1 genius. Anybody that can go get those types of bull elephant males and win 6 championships, tolerating such diversity as Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Ron Hopper, Luke Langley. If those aren't 5 of the biggest male egos ever seen known to man, and how he could get a general manager named Jerry Krause and a coach named Phil Jackson, and by Jerry going through Krause and the players going through Jackson, where all the negotiation takes place to go to get a championship 6 times, unbelievable. A good boxer needs a good sparring partner, or he or she will deteriorate. The best product should be bought. The best man should be rewarded more. Interfering factors which befuddle this triumph of virtue, justice, truth, and efficiency should be kept to an absolute minimum, or should approach 0 as a limit, a la government regulation. Get rid of it. The best players have the best coaches. The best wives have the best husbands. The best children have the best moms. The best dads have the best children. The best employees have the best employers. The best shareholders have the best stakeholders. The best governments have the best citizens. The best students have the best teachers. It's all a two-way street in relationships to be the best. You got to understand leadership, team building. Technology is a commodity. People are the competitive edge in creating solutions that delight the customers. Get your staff uniforms, name tags, different uniforms defining your front office. You're in this uniform. You're an assistant. You're a hygienist. You're a dentist. You're central sterilization. And tolerate diversity. Just because dentists, about 90, I believe it was 86% of doctors, dentists, lawyers, or any professionals are introverts. So they always hire introvert geek staff, okay? Well, 86% of Americans are extrovert. When someone comes in and your receptionist is sitting behind a glass wall, and you say, well, what's your definition of work? Well, filing charts, getting the mail, doing electronic claims. No, it's the gosh darn customer service. And the people who can tolerate things and people that are not like themselves, like look at Dennis Rodman and then look at Jerry Krause. Tell me if these two guys have anything in common. But Krause and Reinsdorf can tolerate diversity. You know, when the Bulls came and played the Phoenix Suns here, I took my 4 boys there. Dennis Rodman walked out on the court. My 3-year-old turned to me and said, Dad, he's not supposed to draw on himself. And I said, well, that's true, Zach. But, you know, if you get 14 rebounds a game, you can dye your hair, draw on yourself. You can do anything you damn want if you got an owner that understands the value of your unique selling proposition. That son of a gun, Dennis, gets 14 rebounds a game, and I can't believe people would run him off. And remember, you have to let your hiring go through your team captains, because 2 people have 2 possible relationships. But 3 people, now there's 12 possible relationships. 4 people have 54 possible relationships. It starts getting completely out of control if you don't have a relationship hierarchy. I'm the owner, I hired this bookkeeper, I hired the coach, they get along, the coach hires the team captain hires the rest of the staff. The next thing you know, your 54 possible relationships between 4 people are flowing smoothly, and you have synergy. 1 + 1, does it equal 1.5, or does it 1 + 1 = 3? Just build your teams like the pros. Look for talent. Talent is found mostly among nonconformists, dissenters, and rebels. And that's a unique observation that I have found in the books of about 15 to 20 different billionaires. The more genius you are, you tend to be more nonconformist, a dissenter, and a rebel. And you know what? It's the same thing with parents. You know, you ask them, which child do you have the most trouble with? And it's usually one that makes lower grades, has an earring through his nose or a bone through his ear, and that son of a gun, his problem is he's got too much going on in his brain. He can't deal with your culture, taboo, customs, and they tend to be nonconformists, dissenters, and rebels. I have 3 of my 6 front office. 3 of my 6 front office have tattoos. And that's why I had Dennis Rodman up there. They're just dissenters. They're just, man, they stand up, someone walks through the door, they stand up, hey, Karen, how you doing? How's the wife? How's the dog? How's the kids? Hey, how's that filling Dr. Farran did? Is it doing good? If it's not, I'll go back there right now and kick his butt. Is it doing good? They communicate. They talk. They feel empowered to be an entrepreneur in my entrepreneurship. That's a team you should have. Go study the Bulls. Thank you very much for day 3.